looking forward to a good meeting today. If you would you all bow and join the silent prayer? And Lord, of course, we want to pray for our children out of school, our parents as they travel, that they get safely back so that they'll enjoy the summer and be back in school. Thank you. And Mr. Kendrick, would you lead us in?
Stand. Salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dana Bauman, Craig Kelly,
Here.
Kermit Kendrick,
here.
Amy Madonna here, Amy Tosden here. Thank you.
Thank you. We're set to approve the agenda today. Dr. Murphy, I believe we're going to move something around here just to allow for the time of our stakeholders and the board. You want to move discussion on, if you look under Roman numeral 7, under C, the proposed discussion on proposed policy 335. We'd like to try to move that up in the agenda so that we can allow for, I know that one of our board members is not to have things that they must get to, that are personal. So if you would, board, do you understand what we're, okay, do you have a motion to do that?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're going to move that to the front. Now, we will go ahead and we approve that agenda. We're going to go through recognitions first.
Started with 3.35 first and then we move to recognition.
Okay, well, that's pretty much what we voted on. Okay, Dr. Murphy, you want to lead us into that?
Yes, so I would like to just open by saying to you, board members, and certainly to our community, that there is no request on the table this evening for you to approve 3.35. As I think you all realize, we're trying to find a way forward. We've had a very difficult year, to say the least. We've had lots of challenges as it relates to disruptions in our school. As your superintendent, I'm not only encumbered with, but obviously desire to make sure that all of our children can come to school, can be treated kindly and fairly and respectfully, and that nothing is impeding the teaching and learning process. And so 3.35 is a proposal. It's been a proposal all along the way, a proposal to generate discussion and conversation about knowing what has happened, how do we now go forward from that. 3.35 is all about disruption that happens in our school. 3.35 is not about rejecting anyone's First Amendment rights, but regardless of where a discipline matter or regardless of where an event occurs, when our schools are distracted, when we can't promote a productive day of teaching and learning, then I would assume that you, as our board, would want us to ensure that we have 180 days of teaching and learning. And we weren't able to do that every day this year because of the disruptions and because of the distractions. I'm certainly not suggesting to you that 3.35 is the answer, but I can tell you that I think good leadership is not to look at a very difficult year and fold my arms and say, let's ring the bell and let's hope next year looks better. I think leadership is, I don't know if this is the answer, but can I start a conversation for us to get real, to get honest, to be thoughtful, and to find a better way forward for us. So again, that all children feel valued and respected, but most importantly, we cannot have our schools disrupted and distracted. And that's what 3.35 was. Perhaps there was some interpretation that this had been written with a period. This is it, period. And it was not. It was written as a proposal. It was written to say to you all, board members, here's where we are. What do you think? It was written to say to our community, here's where we are. What do you think? And to get you to help us find a way for every academic day to be a meaningful day for our children. So for any angst this has created for you as a board, And for any angst that this has created to our community, that was not the intent. It was not the purpose. The purpose was to say, what a difficult year we've had, and how do we do it better going forward? So again, maybe this isn't the answer, but I am grateful and appreciative for the productive conversations that have come as a result of this. But I just want to be really, really clear. There's just no place in our school district for the kinds of disruptions that we've had and the kinds of angst that's been created in our community, most specifically associated with racial conversations.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. And I think Dr. Murphy's taken the hit on a lot of this when she is our leader. She's the one that speaks for us. The board knew about this, the wording of this, our attorney, which Mr. Coleman may want to speak for a moment here in a second about this. So this is not, I know she doesn't, probably don't want me to say this, not on the superintendent, it's all of us. We're all hurting, just like you are. Starting back in November, the city of Hoover has had some very difficult times. And then, of course, we've had some videos out there, some things that are personally very embarrassing to me, very hurtful. We're not going to violate the Constitution. We can't. It's against the law. I've got notes and notes, and I'm not an attorney on reading case study, rulings, circuit court rulings, Supreme Court rulings, just to try to understand. And it's not just to say, we're going to try to do this just because we can. We need to encourage a respectful, safe environment for our children, and there are some areas where the courts have ruled that policies can be enforced outside the school. We're trying to figure out, with input from the city, the stakeholders, what is the best way for us to do that. It's easy to pass a law and run for the hills. That's not what we're trying to do. Mr. Coleman, if you'd like to offer anything?
Well, just that I applaud the board for its efforts and for its hard work on this. As you know, we have had a tough year. It's been a difficult year. We've had some incidents, and I applaud your willingness to tackle tough issues. And the type policy that we're talking about, you don't see those in every code of conduct. We do them. We do codes of conduct all over the state. You don't see the kind of difficult, tackling the difficult subject matter like you guys have been willing to do in most school systems. And so you're to be applauded for that. It's courageous. It's intent driven, and it's designed to solve problems that you see. And as Dr. Murphy said, instead of Dr. Murphy folding her arms and saying, things just happen, let's hope for a better year. It's incumbent upon her and upon the board to address the problems that are there before the board. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have. I think there's still work ahead of us, clearly. And Dr. Murphy has a plan for getting there. And we're happy to assist however we can.
And thank you for that lead in. So board members, here's where we are. There's no proposal on the table for you to approve 3.35. We have a number of committees already in place that are working with us. We have a parent committee that's working with us. Dr. Lamar and I have had conversation, and we're looking forward to bringing some of these committees in during the last week of June. Not only our parent committee, but we have some student committees, the Heritage Council being one of those. We have a diversity committee that's been working with us. I have a superintendent's advisory council that works with me. We will on Thursday have some leaders in our district to work with us on diversity training for our school leaders. And I want to find some time to spend with them to say, hey, take a look at this 3.35. Give us your wisdom from the experience that you bring to the table. And frankly, board members, I would absolutely embrace a community meeting where we get input from lots of our committees who are in place to support us, but to take this to a larger population. We want to get this right. We are not attempting to infringe on anybody in any unfair ways. And I think the best way to do that is to use that cadre of committees that are in place. But then once we get the committees to kind of help us draft or craft or recreate or eliminate or whatever that looks like, that then we go forward to our community for a larger conversation, which I would look forward to. So that would be our plan forward, engaging as many people as we can. I would say this, I appreciate every thoughtful response that we've gotten. We had over 600 or so, where's Jason? We had over 600 or so individuals who responded to our open-end question. Hey, here's the proposal, what are your thoughts? And we had some, as you might well imagine, put anything on the table who were real advocates of that, and those who were really very not happy and saw this as an infringement. I think there's one lingering question that stays in my mind that keeps me here, and that is, as a board, and I'll look to you as a community, and the question is this: so the day school comes, so the day that we're interrupted at school, and it didn't start there. The genesis of it was Friday night or Saturday night or whenever it was, but it happened at home. But as soon as that comes to the school door and we cannot carry on with teaching and learning and have a productive day, what would you have us do? What would you have us do? Because I can't say I have disruption and chaos, but it didn't happen here, it didn't generate here, so I'm going to take a pass. So that's, we have to find a way forward. That's what I mean by find a way forward. What do we do now? We've had a difficult year, and we've got to find some solutions. And this is an initial attempt to say, here's where we are, let's start a conversation.
Well, Dr. Murphy, I'd just like to echo Mr. Kelly and just thank you for taking this bull by the horns. Mr. Kelly, I appreciate you moving this up on the agenda because I'm one of the board members who has to be somewhere tonight.
He's volunteering for charity. So.
I also want to thank the community for all of your letters. I've read every word, and it means a lot that the community is active on this issue. And I speak a little out of turn here, but I want to thank Mr. Giangrosso, Mr. Montgomery. We were in all those meetings when all this first happened. I appreciate the leadership that you provided at your respective schools, and all the teachers who tried their best to address this situation so that we can meet our mission of making all of our students feel welcome here in Hoover City Schools. This is a tough issue. This is what we all signed up for to address. And I look forward to hearing from the committees, hearing from you, the community, and then helping us make a good decision going forward so all of our kids can feel welcome at our school and we can stand together and say what will and what won't be tolerated in our schools.
Very good. You wanna?
Well, I want to say one thing. I'll go a little different route. I've enjoyed all the letters and emails, and I've gotten phone calls. I've been in a couple meetings and just had really frank conversations with people, and that's what we need. But I want, I guess I got put on this board and felt like no one knew me. You know, I was just kind of like, oh, I'll just do that, and I kind of just jumped in with both feet, and so sometimes I just feel like telling people, we're all parents. Everybody sitting up here is a parent. And I have, kids still in the school system. We want to get this right. It is important to get this right. And of course, we didn't sign up for it, but it's here and we're not backing down from it. And we want to work alongside of y'all. So please keep sending emails. Please keep opening up conversations, not necessarily on social media. You could contact us directly. It's totally fine. I'll answer you if you'd like me to. But sometimes I just feel like I need people to know we're all in this together and we're going to do everything we can to get this right for everyone.
So the last week in June, we'll have lots of committee meetings, and thereafter board members, at the pleasure of the board and the okay of the board, I'd like for us to set an early July community meeting and allow our stakeholders to share with us. So you can kind of think about that process and if it works for us.
Kind of a logistics question, and the committee meetings, and I think those are a great idea. I love that. I want to hear from as many different groups as possible. are we gonna get transcripts of those meetings, or are we gonna be able to sit in, or are we gonna, what's gonna be the best way for us to get
So
feedback?
my thought is, after we have the committee meetings, superintendent's advisory, parents, students, that I ask them to come alongside us, to be a voice with us, and it may not be that we all agree, but I'd like for all of those groups to come to the community meeting, because they will have invested time, energy, and thought into this process, and so I'd like for them to be present with us, to either voice agreement or disagreement, or tweak it more, or we're in a good place. We had 13 community meetings when I came into Hoover, and that was the best 13 meetings I've ever been in, because I learned a lot about Hoover, and it was so helpful to me. I am not sitting in this seat assuming I have all the answers, but I absolutely believe that there are some smart people in this city, in this community, that can help us find our way forward, and we need you, and therein lies our need, I think, to have a community meeting.
Yeah,
I'm all for that.
I think this is a lot bigger than just the words that end up on a piece of paper. So I'd like to see that process kind of in a,
Yeah.
bring everyone together.
And I would ask that we not miss that there are two pieces of this proposal, because I think there's so much heavy at the front side of this, disparaging, demeaning, unkind remarks, derogatory, that we get through all of that and we feel exceptionally offended with, how dare you tell me what I can't say or not say. The real essence of what we're saying in this policy is, if it comes back and disrupts the educational setting. So it isn't that we're trying to monitor or manage the conversations families have in their homes at all. No interest in that. But when it does come and impede us and keeps us from teaching children, then I absolutely would expect you to hold us responsible for that, as I would think this community would hold us responsible for that.
And as we've said, this is a start of a conversation, and I think it's important that everyone knows that we do care about everyone's opinions. We are listening to our stakeholders, and that's just it. It's a proposal. A lot of times, proposals are given to us right here at the board table, and that's the first time we've seen it. And then we have to go forward and vet it and then listen to our stakeholders before it does come down to a vote. So just know that we are listening and taking the time and starting the conversation.
Very good. We're like Ms. Bowman said, we're all listening. We're listening to Judge Heikla respectfully when she gives us advice. We're listening to the LDF and NAACP. We're listening to the Department of Justice. There's a lot of pieces to this. It certainly includes you as stakeholders, parents. So it's a lot to work on. So please understand, it's Dr. Murphy's pleasure, but we're not going to stick this on the agenda for a vote with a surprise. We said that last time. We're not going to do that again. So please be patient and give us time to get this right. Okay? All right. We'll try to get back on order, and I apologize to the people that are getting recognized tonight. We need to try to be respectful. It always kicks our board meetings off, so let's try to get back on track with that.
Thank you. So board members, we have recognitions, and I believe Mr. Gaston and maybe Janet.
Tonight we will be recognizing teacher grants. I'd like to call up Janet Turner with the foundation.
All right, some good news. So I'm Janet Turner. I'm the Executive Director of the Hoover City Schools Foundation, and several of our board members are here tonight. If you would please stand if you're on the board and be recognized. Our board works very hard to put money back into the schools, and we're very excited this year to announce a record number of grants to teachers. We kicked off our grant cycle this year, and we received 89 letters of intent. That's a record. It's never happened, never even been close. Probably, it's more than double, probably triple what we've ever received before. Over $135,000 in requests. The grants committee met and went through every single application. That was a 2.5, 3 hour meeting to discuss each one, along with some input from the district. We saw a lot of coding and robotics and sensory projects. And the grants committee invited 42 of those to submit full applications totaling over $65,000 and ultimately awarded 31 grants in 13 schools for $50,000. So tonight we're going to recognize those grant winners, and it's June, so a lot of people are traveling, but if their principals are here, or I invite the principals to come up with them, and if they aren't here, to let the principals accept on their behalf. So I've got these in school order. From Bluff Park, we have Jerry Evans with GEMS, Girls Engaged in Math and Science. When you come up, if you would stay, we're gonna take a picture at the end. Thanks, so if everybody would stay. Then also from Bluff Park, Jerry Evans, Yes We Do with Lego Robotics. Bluff Park, Miranda Riley with Russell Sermons and Vicki Garner. Grant title Multisensory Reading, Language, Program Materials, and Training. From Brock's Gap, Megan Denson, Coding with Faria Labs Microbits. Brock's Gap, Renee Stewart, Making and Creating to the Library. Bumpus Middle School, Christy Donald, Encouraging Innovation Through Robotics Engineering. Bumpus Middle School, Carol Lawler, Leanne Rowe, Jeff Nobles, and Melanie Haynes, Soaring into Innovations, Full Steam Ahead. Bumpus Middle, Austin Wilson, Terry Adema, and Chad James, Wisconsin Fast Plants, The Full Cycle. From Deer Valley, we have Krista Failer with Go Code Go. Anna Gray Cook at Deer Valley with Krista Failer, Let's Get Rolling with Coding. Also from Deer Valley, Rudy Frey and Krista Failer, Anything You Can Do, We Do Better. From the district, Jamie Nutter with the ELI team, and Scotty Wilson and Jill Westerland and Vinny Chiramonte, Let Your Code Sparkle. From Green Valley, Lindsay Baxley, Jamie Wilson, Tracy Morgan, and Kim Lowry, Gator Creators, Sensory Breaks, Facilitating Focus by Promoting Movement. Alicia Chiramonte, Green Valley, Battle of the Books. Also Green Valley, Staley McElwain with Melissa Wilcox, Amy Gregory, Shanteria Culpepper, and Jamie Nutter. Green Valley, Melissa Wilcox, Jamie Nutter, Amy Gregory, and Shanteria Culpepper, Gator Creators, Putting the E in Steam. From Greystone, Maria Beard, Building Up Brain Buckets. From Gwen, Laura Cater, Close Reading with Faria Lab Microbits. From Gwen, Jasmine Fenderson and Becky Bedsole, Steaming with Big Brother. From Gwen, Jill Foschi, Math Madness. Also from Gwen, Asia Ralph, Rachel Spurrier, Bee-Botting in First Grade. Gwen Christy Willis, Steaming Through Robotics. Hoover High, Janet Ort, STEM Skill for Science Data. River Chase Elementary, Katie Thompson and Natalie Brinkman, Growing Through Sensory Exploration. River Chase Elementary, Aver Wallace, Creators with Kibo. Rocky Ridge, Catherine Sanford, Kelly Hawkins, Chelsea Burgess, Elizabeth Hamilton, Carolyn Shiflett, and Erica Robinson, Brain Spring Phonics Curriculum. Rocky Ridge, Erica Robinson, Start Strong with Phonics. Spain Park, Jennifer Bradley, Dan Graber, The Physics of Hot Wheels. Spain Park, Scotty Wilson and Julia Bartle, Sensing Our World. Spain Park, Scotty Wilson and Julia Bartle, Solder Me Awake. And finally, Trace Crossings, Anne Elizabeth McInvale, Alicia Page, Ashley Lloyd, Julie Smith, Terry Coleman, and Lauren Smith, Sensory Boards, and more. Congratulations to all of our grant winners. We're going to have a reception upstairs, and you're all invited.
Is there any other
chicken wing like this. Congrats, y'all.
While the grant winners are being seated, try to remind everyone, this is not sponsored by Hoover City Schools. The instructors you see here are doing this on their own time. They're motivating children, they're spending a lot of time that they aren't paid for. Hoover City Schools Foundations, as you see, there's $50,000 in grants and many other things they do to support us. So this is charity from the community. So again, can't say thank you enough to Hoover City Schools Foundation for what they do. Okay, this is the time in our meeting where we offer public comment. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay. We'll move on. Action items, Dr. Martin.
Board members, you have before you minutes for our regular board meeting, May 14th, and also minutes of a special call board meeting, May 22nd. I'd like to request your approval of both of those minutes.
Want to hear a motion to approve both board minutes as recommended by the superintendent?
So moved.
Second?
Mr.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
President,
Yes.
I think, I don't know if we approved the agenda.
We approved the agenda modified.
Okay, very good.
Thank you for asking. I make a lot of mistakes.
Very good. Fine. So second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Personnel.
We have next our personnel actions. There are 12 appointments, 3 transfers, 5 leave of absence, 12 resignations, 1 retirement with 18 years, and 2 non-renewals. I recommend your approval of the personnel report.
Board, have a motion to approve the personnel report as recommended. Second? Any questions, discussion on personnel actions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This passes.
Board, if we could just look out among our principals, school leaders to see if any individuals were employed that you have present with you this evening. Otherwise, I'm gonna take privilege to acknowledge Mr. Kevin Irwin. If you would stand, please, come forward. I think you have your wife with you. Our new principal at Simmons Middle School.
Calling Coach Irwin, he was, 2 of my kids went through athletes, cheerleaders, and he's been there the whole time. So.
Board members, we had some terrific candidates for that position, and you just love all the people you have employed. You just wish you could create lots of positions to get so many good people gainfully employed. So congratulations to Mr. Irwin. Next, board members, we have before you a request for modifying a job description. We have had a job description titled Assistant Director of C&P. The person who is in that position has resigned that position, and our director, Melinda Bonner, has reviewed this job description, and rather than having it as an assistant director CMP, she believes that the description and the need in the department is that of a CMP supervisor. And so I'd like to request your approval for, and you have red lettered on the job description, a few things that would change that aligns it more with a supervisory position than with an assistant director position. We generally give you job descriptions that are brand new and ask you to review those for a month, but given there are only moderate tweaks to this, I'd like to ask your approval so that we can get it posted and fill this position. Yes, sir.
Motion to approve the new CMP supervisor as recommended by Dr. Murphy.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? On favor? Yes,
Do
ma'am.
we have 1 second? Okay.
Second, all right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This passes. Thank you.
There were several items of business. Ms. McKay, if you would come join us and share with us monthly financial statements April, cash disbursements in April, and payroll for May.
Okay. Good evening. Board, tonight I present to you the summary and general purpose financial statements for the month ended April 30, 2019, based on reconciled bank statements for fiscal year 2019. For the fiscal year 19 budget, 83.35% of budget revenues has been received for the month ended April 30, 2019. The results of operations represent 7 months of activity. Accordingly, approximately 59% of the budget would be anticipated to have been for recurring expenditures. General fund expenditures are 54.84% of the budget. General fund expenditures year-to-date are 7.9 million more than April 2018 due to RC3 expenditures. For 7 months of activity, the current month's reserve is at 10.14. Special revenue fund expenditures for 7 months of activity were 13.3 million, or 71.45% of the budget. Special revenue expenditures are $51,000 year-to-date less than the comparable period in FY18 due to conservative spending. Cash disbursements for April FY19, $5,671,238, and payroll for May 2019, $8,020,000, $266.97.
Board members, I'd like to request your approval of all 3 of our business action items.
So we're talking about 1, 2, and 3, financial cash disbursement. Okay, we
1,
can make
2,
a
and 3.
motion, then we can ask questions. Have a motion to accept as recommended by the superintendent.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I do have a question, Ms. McKay.
Okay.
Thank goodness the legislature approved, I believe the governor signed 4% increase in pay for employees, which is great.
Yes, sir.
Have you looked at the impact, if we had time to calculate the local cost of that?
I have. For the district, it would be about $2 million. Do you want to hear what the difference would be if you approved it in July versus October?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay.
The point is, this is very good news.
I just didn't know how far you wanted to go.
No, I
Yes.
just think it's just
It would
very,
have an impact of about $2 million.
it's very good news, but because we have an awful lot of local revenue supported by the taxes in Hoover. Every time the state gives a raise, they pay it out of the education trust fund. We have to match along with it. We're glad to. We can afford to do so, but it doesn't take away the fact that we have got to keep up with revenues. We always thank our city for the support they give us. I have no reason to think that will be less, hopefully more. At some point, the city will allow us, I hope, to vote on a 2.4 mil increase. So you can see the need that we have to keep up and continue the local units we have because of the funding we have in the city of Hoover. And I'm not sure, is Mr. Smith here? The President of the Council is here. I want to recognize you. I didn't see you. Thank you for what you do in city government.
What you do is to leave the doors unlocked.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If I could just piggyback on what the question Michelle posed, I will tell you that historically in Hoover, prior to the last 2 pay increases, the school district started any legislative pay increases in July. So I had asked her to calculate that in the event that was a question, so she had prepared that. So just as a historical basis, that has been done in Hoover in the past. And
Is that something, I'm sorry.
no. Just, I know a number of the other over-the-mountain schools do likewise, so I had asked her to just take a look at it in the event that was a point of conversation.
So the $2 million impact would be something starting in the next budget, which
That
would
would
be
be correct.
October 1.
That would be correct.
And
That
there
would be-
would be a small impact if we did this in July, and I am curious as to what the difference are.
So if we were to award the 4% in July, for July, August, and September, that would only impact our 12-month employees. The teachers would not see that until September. So when you calculate that, the total for those 2 groups would be $426,000.
Good to know. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Next, board, we would like to request your approval of the code of conduct excluding without 3.35, which we've already discussed for additional conversation. my recommendation is your approval of the student code of conduct minus the 3.35.
Board, I have a motion to approve, as superintendent recommended, not including 335, which is not listed as being considered. A second?
Second.
Any discussion? This is the policy we reviewed, I believe, last board meeting.
Yes.
That we made public and went over, so we're pulling out the part that we've talked about, and we've already got a motion second, so that's what we're voting on. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good.
Next, board members, is board policy 6.22. This is the Jamari Terrell Williams Student Bullying Prevention Act. Dr. Simmons led this work. I appreciate her doing so. She's identified for you members from her committee, which I believe she shared with you last time at our last board meeting. And you have that information, which was really shared with us by the State Department of Education as a model, but we have had our attorneys also to review that, and you have before you my recommendation for board policy 6.22, the Jamari Terrell Williams Student Bullying Prevention Act.
We'll have a motion to approve 6.22.
So
Second?
Second.
Any questions on this? This was passed by code by the legislature, who gave the authority to the State Department of Education, I believe, Dr. Murphy, to craft this, so that's what we're looking at. So it's supported by code. This is not SDE on their own, so we're bound to follow this. So what we're doing is adopting it in the policy by requirement of state code. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we adopt 6.22.
We'll move to new business and information reports. We had a work session where we had a conversation about our capital outlay plan and also supplemental schedule. And Michelle's just gonna hit the high points of that. Thank you so much.
Tracy and I discussed with you some of the observations and communications we've had with principals and what we believe to be upcoming capital projects for the district, new construction as well as preventive maintenance over the next 5 years. As we add, tweak, and delete projects, this plan will be used to develop our FY20 budget and capital plan, both due in September of this year. Should you have any questions regarding capital projects, Tracy and I are available as a resource. And I would have said always, but one of us is leaving in June and will not be available. So I guess that leaves me to be available if you need a resource. So I just want you to know that should you have questions as you review that documentation, I'm available at any time to answer those questions for you. I also shared with you at today's work session the proposed supplement schedule for 2019-2020. Should you have additional questions, again, as you review the document, please reach out to me for information or clarification. It is my hope that you will approve the 2019-2020 supplement schedule at the July board meeting. Any questions?
And a lot of guests weren't here. We had a work session today at 4:30, so we're not skipping through this. It's open to the public. So we've discussed a good bit of this, which helps us understand, try to make a decision. So thank you for that also.
Great work. Appreciate that. Board members, we've already had our conversation where we moved 3.35 to the top of our agenda, so I'm gonna move to job description for a courier. We have used a couple of our gentlemen from operations maintenance to curry for us in our school district. Whether that was getting mail from point A to point B, or whether that was picking up Chromebooks from the IT center and relocating those back to schools for students. It has not perhaps been the best use of plumbers and others who were needed to do the job for which they had been employed. And so I appreciate HR for drafting for us a job description for a courier. Ms. Bill shared with you today the salary range for that job, but I do want to ask that you review this job description for a courier over the course of this next month, and would ask for your approval at our July board meeting. So you see that job description, you're aware of that salary. We just want to use people in the most thoughtful ways for the work that needs to happen and not pull them to curry around the district for us. So you have that information before you. The next item is to ask that we give thought to having another board retreat. We did that last summer. I found that very helpful to me as your superintendent. And perhaps we look at our calendars, if not tonight, at some time soon, and see if we might do a retreat. Last year, we went to Montgomery to AASB office, which was a great location. They were very hospitable to us. And so perhaps we want to consider that location again. But I would like to request that we have a board retreat and we can look at dates together when that's convenient for you. And then I'd like to also share with you and to our public that the transfer application has reopened. We're grateful to the court for allowing us to have a 14-day opening for transfers. We had a number of non-responsive folks who just missed the deadline for various and sundry reasons. And in order to give all an opportunity to apply for a transfer should they be eligible, this has been reopened by the court from June the 3rd, yesterday, through the 17th, a 14-day additional opening. We're really trying to blast that message out so that anyone who is eligible for a transfer knows about it, and that we use multiple mediums to get that word out, and Jason is assisting us with getting that message out, as is Bob Lowry and others who are supporting us with that work. So just to make our public aware of the reopening of the transfer application. If you don't know what all that means, you think you might be eligible, you have questions, please reach out. We want to support you and help you with that process. And then the last is under other. There's always something else that comes up, so I'm starting to put another because things are happening in a course of a day or a week that I want to share with you. One was about the work sessions. You received an email from me where I outlined for you some of the things that we want to share with you. I want to commend my staff because they are really looking at all the relevant data specific to their departments. And I think it's been a good exercise. It's been a lot of work, but there's nothing like looking at the data and then owning it. And what does it tell me? And now what? And those are the kinds of really powerful conversations that our executive cabinet is having with each other. And so as much work as it has been, I'm looking at them and saying thank you for that. And I think that's now going to allow us to be able to come to you in work sessions and share with you some of that important data so that it gives you a framework for where we are and how do we go forward. I could talk to you about going forward all day, but unless you have some basis for that, or unless we have some baseline data for that, that's a little bit of a difficult conversation to have. So kudos to my staff for the work that they're doing with that. Last thing for me is to say to you that we are looking at respecting our classrooms by not having cell phones, earbuds, headsets in our ears. We go to school for the purpose of learning, and it's very difficult to do that in many incidences where the phone is more prominent and more important than what the teacher is saying. And when we find our students with those earbuds in their ears and disconnected from the instruction, I think we have an obligation to address that. And so again, this is a preliminary conversation. I'm not, giving you some proposal this evening. I will tell you that we've had conversations with our principals. And I will tell you that I think our teachers, maybe our preachers too, but our teachers, that our teachers really would appreciate having the support of a policy and of this board to say classroom instruction, get the earbuds out of your ear, get the phones, put them away. This is about learning. And any arguments about these being used as a device, maybe on some rare occasions, but they all have a Chromebook. So I'm not buying wholesale. These devices are all about the instruction that's going on. I wanted to start that conversation with you, and very likely we'll come back to you in July with this framed up a little bit better. But this is, again, not about hurting anybody's feelings and taking a privilege they've always had away from them. But this is about, are we serious about instruction? And can we give our teachers some leverage to say to our students, put that away. That's not what we're about. We're teaching you something important today. And I do think I have the support of our principals in that process. I believe I have the support of my curriculum department in that process. That may be something else that, creates some angst for us, but I don't think we back away from what we believe is important for the instruction of the school district. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as time occurs. Thank you, that concludes.
On the cell phone, and Dr. River, I believe you mentioned you might involve the instructors, the administration, the public, and the children, although they probably won't get a vote. And, why we're in school is to learn and to respect instruction. So we'll vet it, we're gonna listen as Dr. Murphy suggested, so please stay tuned.
And certainly, once we walk into that classroom, from bell to bell in that classroom, does it make sense for us to be walking around with our cell phones and earbuds in our ear and whatever? So we'll continue that conversation, but that's one more thing we push out there that's, certainly we'll have those, I'm sure, that might disagree, but our role is to determine what's best for children. Thank you for letting me share that.
Okay, Board?
Correction to that meeting.
The board will be at AASB Summer Conference, I think it's next week, the 14th through the 16th. That's where we hopefully learn a lot, and we do from AASB. There's speakers. I've learned a lot over the years I've been here, so that's one reason we changed the meeting to this week, even though they don't quite conflict. It would have been very difficult. Our next board meeting will be July 11th at 5:30. It's regular. We changed the date, but it's July 11th at 5:30 for our monthly board meeting. Sure.
What day is it? I'm sorry.
July 11th is wrong on it.
Now, if you recall last
I don't
month,
recall.
we changed July's
What
board
did we
meeting
change it to?
from the 9th to the 11th.
December.
I'd like to just have a point of privilege. We always like to acknowledge people who come and visit with us. Judge Carnella, do you mind standing? We have a group of ladies who are visiting with us. For some of them, it's their first time to visit with us, and others who are with your group. We acknowledge you. We thank you for your presence. We thank you that what we do in Hoover is important to you, and I'm grateful for your presence tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're always welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay. Anything else, board? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.